Hey, Steve Zook, welcome back to the Guitar Ladder System. Here I'm showing the LH280, the Lore 175 style guitar. And this LH280 175 style guitar is already discounted, so $499 you get to own a great guitar. I was talking about how the layers of the laminate are much thicker, but I don't think I made the point that I wanted to make, which is they're actually solid pieces of wood sandwiched together, which is what laminate is. But most of the time laminate wood, the layers are so thin it doesn't seem to have as much effect in creating that mid bass like this guitar. On this guitar, when I took the pickup out and looked at the wood, the layers of laminate not only were much thicker, but those are solid pieces of wood. I think that's why this guitar gets some of that kind of Gibson L5 CES, solid wood tone. It really kind of combines the best of a great Gibson L5 CES, which is a $7,000-8,000 guitar with a 175. So I wanted to make that point. Also the point that those solid pieces of wood that are much thicker, which create the laminate, different layers of those thicker layers of solid maple, are sandwiched in between mahogany. Whoever made the call on this really was making some good choices, very musical choices. That's why this guitar has so much resonance and has so much tone, But I just wanted to make that point because the tone is really amazing on these. It has that solid L5 sound. So again, the layers, laminate, like on a 335 or 175 or whatever, laminate wood is very thin layers, all sandwiched together, glued together. But most of the time, they're very thin. With this guitar, they must be 5, 6, 7, 8 times thicker. And then there's mahogany sandwiched in between those solid pieces of maple, which give you more mid bass and more mid range. So it's really interesting. The more you learn about guitars, you learn how to recognize the real value of what I call old world value. Some guitars are just better made. It kind of reminds me of some of the magic of the made in Japan 70s acoustic guitars made by companies like Alvarez and Yamaha and Yamaki and different companies. But like I said, this is very unique. You don't see this very often. Every once in a while I do see it in like an old, if I find an old, and I mean old, Epiphone 175. The newer Epiphone 175s don't really sound that resonant to me. They're weak in the mid and the mid bass, which like I said before, is a problem with like the Epiphone Broadway, the problem with the Epiphone Joe Pass, the same issue with the Samick JZ1, JZ2, JZ3, JZ4. They're cool guitars. They sound pretty good, but they don't even come close. And this is not sales fluff or sales bullshit. It's true. You can take the pickups out and look at this. They're really thick layers of solid maple, sandwiched together with mahogany in between. And that combines to give you this really beautiful tone with like really great mid bass and mids. You can hear it. It just sounds beautiful. So I just wanted to make that point. Now lick again. So yeah, that's one of the, I'll be honest about it. It takes a lot of education and a lot of experience to make a smart guitar buy. I think most people start getting caught up in the gas. They get caught up in the rush of buying another guitar, and they just start reading stuff left and right. There's no substitute. When you've sold millions of dollars of guitars, there's no substitute for what you learn about playing all these different guitars. Like I said, once in a while, I think I've only had one or two, I'll find an old, and I mean older Epiphone 175 that has the thicker layers of wood, but I think they're thicker on this one. And like I said, those thicker layers are solid maple, and then there's mahogany sandwiched in between, and it just... It's not just, here's the bag pickup. This guitar has a lot of L5, to the 175. It kind of reminds me, like I said in the other video, of a combination of an L5 and a 175. But this exact one is for sale, and it sounds amazing. It's a ton of guitar for $499. Case would be a bit extra. But I've got two of these right now, and I always like having one or two around. I've even sold these because I'm we were relatively close to LA, about 40 minutes. I've sold these to studio musicians that have heard me play and respect me, and they just say, Steve, I'd like to have a great guitar. I don't want to take out, my $5,000 expensive vintage Gibson 175 on a gig or whatever they happen to be doing, and they actually love these guitars. This is a great guitar. You can hear that resonance. You can even hear it unplugged. If you come with just a little bit of volume and some of the natural. I like that combination. The Martino. This is some real tone, but yeah, I'm not kidding, folks. I'm not just saying this trying to be like a salesman. This guitar will eat an Epiphone Broadway, Epiphone Joe Pass, any of the Samick JZ1, 2, 3, 4. It has a lot more tone. The Music Link just doesn't spend a lot of money on promotion and everything. That's really, they're able to put it into the product, and it costs them more money to do the thicker layers of solid maple in there with the mahogany sandwiched in between. But that's one of the reasons this guitar just has so much resonance. And like I said, when even just at a little bit of volume, you just get this woody tone, but it's woody married to an electric tone. That's hard to explain. Some people have a lot of trouble understanding that, but that's what real tone is. Like if you listen to a Stradivarius violin that's worth millions, it's got meat to the tone, and a great 175 has that resonance to it, but you get a little more. Actually, I think a lot more tone when you have thicker layers of solid maple with mahogany sandwiched in between. So yeah, this is a really a nice guitar. All right, I'm going to stop right there because, like I said in my last video, I'm healing a little cut in my finger. But yeah, solid, thicker layers of maple with mahogany sandwiched in between those thicker layers creates more mid-range, more mid-bass. Folks, there's a lot more to buying a guitar than most people ever imagine, and unfortunately most people get caught up in all the branding and marketing and promotion and hype, and I don't want to get sued, so I don't want to mention which companies are doing what, but there's a lot of bullshit out there. The great values and great opportunities in guitars is not as easy to spot as people think. This is one of them. And this exact guitar is for sale. All right, take care. I need to go get some lunch. Let's stay positive, folks. Bye-bye.